the the trick to making this hair feel like hair is to give it kind of like this ridged feeling, so that there's rows, not really necessarily cornrows or anything like that, but there's rows of hair. And the way we can do that is to select a couple, like every other row of lines going up and down. You'll notice that it's having a hard time seeing these rows and sees behind it. See, when you click, nothing happens, but the center line moves. That means you're picking something on the other side. So let's turn on ignore back facing and try it again. Just click any vertex or any edge along this vertical row, and then this cool little feature, click loop. And what it does, it looks for every edge along the straight line from end to end and selects it as well. So with those selected, kind of position your view, something creative. And let's draw them in so you get this kind of like zigzag pattern. Now, with that poly selected, let's apply Turbo Smooth to conveniently turn a patch model that's been turned into an editable poly now into a subdivided surface. If you look at this, you'll now see that it's a little bit of a complex shape, but go to Turbo Smooth, let's kick up the iterations to 2. You'll see that those undulating lines coming down are a little smoother. Now we still go back down the stack and deal with this mesh to adjust it and go along the hair. Basically, start over here. So this is the more difficult area. Let's click a couple of these. And what you want to do is pick a plane of adjustment that, well, we don't want these. Instead of hitting loop this time, I'm going to just kind of pick a few along this row, because this is a weird little twist. So to make it look all ridged, we're going to have to like go section by section and do that. So let's raise those up. Again, if we want to see the end result, we can do that. Just trying to get there. Turn off end result again. Let's pick these now. Nah, what the hell, let's go for it. Let's just grab a bunch of them. Yeah, hair isn't perfect, and neither is our mesh. So again, you can always do, in a situation like this, you know, half empty, half full kind of thing. You can make some raised. This is another benefit of using screen as a coordinate system. You can make some raised, and you can take others and lower them. So we'll do that in a second. So one row has to be up, the other row has to be down, but it's up to you to be creative in how you do it. Now, if you're like me, it's kind of fun to watch another artist work. Just, you know, you see him do something, even if it's something small or minor that you don't do. Either you can laugh at him like you can laugh at me for making a mistake, or you can say, wow, you know, that's kind of cool, maybe I should try that. So push that out. Let's take a look at what it seems like with the mesh smooth modifier, turbo smooth. So you can see we're starting to kind of shape the hair up. Got all this back here, but instead of kind of boring you with going through each one, we'll just do the fast and easy way. With all the lines done, you can see how it feels more sculpted or statue-like, yet keeps kind of an interesting shape. Let's change the material to something a little more easier to see. And again, you can go in at any point and go down the stack and mess with the shape, even including the spline, which is the best part about this technique. So if I want to smooth out some bumps, like there's a little bit of a bump there, we can do that, and it resonates all the way up the stack. In fact, there's a couple places like around here that were a little pinched. We can change those. So we're affecting the spline, but it's going all the way up into it and affecting everything. So this is kind of bothering me. So you'll notice that it was kind of thick in there, or thin in there, so we can move that out. And then we can grab some of these down here. Let's move them out. Make the hair a little thicker. But you get the picture. I mean, the power and utility of this is the ability to move up and down the stack. I mean, if you don't like the way a line looks, just move it around. See, it still keeps its shape. Now, if I were to do that with a vertex, of course, I'd have to grab all the vertices at this level for edit poly. I can go in here and grab a vertex and move it as well. But, what does that get me? However, sometimes you do have to make minor tweaks. So it's kind of like this this capability to apply gross changes to the mesh and then tiny kind of like detail modifications of the mesh. So let's unhide the queen. Unhide. And see how it's looking with her. Just turn off F4. It's looking like around her shoulder there. It's looking a little weird, but I think it'll work. So overall, it's feeling pretty good to me. The next step, of course, is to merge the actual hair shape into the rest of the geometry. And to do that, we first have to close it off and make it feel a little bit more sculpted. The final mesh looks something like this. And I've basically gone in and closed and connected everything. However, I had to use mesh smooth because some of the edges need to be a little different tension or crease value than the rest of it. And that's basically the difference between Turbo Smooth and the new Turbo Smooth and Mesh Smooth. Turbo Smooth is it's a faster way to create a subdivided surface. And whenever you do want to go in and change the crease value, which is kind of like the point where meshes meet and all that, you want to create like a defined edge and all. So you want to create a defined edge. You do that, I always turn the iterations down to 0 and then crank them back up, just so I can see them. So the iteration here, I want the crease value to be 1, so it creates the line of a crown going around her. Another point you probably notice is some of my edges, like where her face meets the hair, I've doubled those up for the simple reason that the crease value I just mentioned. Because you can't save the mesh smooth settings, I a lot of times will take and double edges up only because I get tired of, if you're like me, then you're always kind of applying and then deleting your mesh smooth modifier. And if you have to go back in and reset all your crease values to something different, it becomes a problem. And also, if you change the mesh below the mesh smooth modifier, it changes the ordering of the crease value. So it may decide another edge has a crease value that you wanted a different edge to have. So the difference between mesh smooth, the times when you use mesh smooth are basically when you want to adjust the crease value or the control, or you want to actually have all the access to all this stuff. If you were to go in here and apply just turbo smooth, you can see that your menu is pretty slim. However, it is faster. You can notice that,